Hello, everyone, and welcome to List Crunch. I'm Skari, your grateful host, and this is a video where I take 40k or Warhammer 40,000 army lists that have been submitted by Patreons from all over the world, and I read them and break them down in a quick sort of like segment. Now, normally this is a Patreon exclusive video. I do one every Friday, but yesterday was my birthday. That's right, happy birthday to me. So I had cake and dinner with family instead of doing List Crunch. So I'm doing it today. I decided why not share it with everyone on YouTube. So if this is the kind of content you like, make sure you stay tuned. I'm going to be reading army lists. I'm going to be breaking them down. And the aim of this is to break down the philosophy of writing a good Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, or other tabletop game army lists. You get to ask questions. You get to understand sort of like my thought process of things that I like to add into army lists in order to make sure that they are useful, or that you have all the tools available to complete your mission or to win games or to play to your own playstyle. So normally this is a exclusive for patrons. The Denizen community is the reason I get to do this. So I want to thank them. They get cool perks like this, but I just thought I'd share it today. So sit back, relax, enjoy. If you catch the live show, fantastic. If not, the live comments will be running, so you can kind of read as we go along. But we'll start with a comment from Alexander. Says, happy yesterday birthday. Thank you. Thank you very much. Also, huge shout out to Greenwood Cafe Roastery. Yeah, and Roaster, which is a great coffee, by the way. Critical Hit Gaming Lounge. Good coffee. And there's a fantastic mug, too. They don't send me anything, by the way. I just like supporting local business. Okay. Yeah, let's get this party on the road. So there's two places that you can submit a list if you'd like to submit a list for me to review every Friday. That is on the Patreon page. If you're a Scourge level or higher, you can submit one. I put a thread up and you can post it there, or on the Patreon Discord. We have a whole Discord thread for List Crunch where everybody can submit a list. And yeah, so we'll start with all the ones on Patreon, and then we'll jump to something else. Joe Monty says, thank you for this gift on your birthday. Well, it's no problem at all. I enjoy doing list stuff. Okay, so feliz cumpleaños, señor. Gracias. Muchas gracias. 35 is a great age. Enjoy these years. I do feel 18, even though I am 35. So my first Crusade in my local club starts in a week, and I'm trying to do Harlequins instead of custom Craftalds, as it may be a stronger list. Okay. Thoughts? Well, if you're building a list for Crusade, to be honest, I feel like it's better to sort of organically have it grow over time instead of trying to game it or make the most powerful thing. You can kind of really go like you need to. Crusade is interesting because it's usually power level, which means you can kind of upgrade your stuff with whatever. I have a whole other theory on why power level is better than points. Personally, I honestly feel it is. Like, I just see on a tangent. I'm going to go on a tangent here. Every time I play John the Cron in match play, I have 2,000 points. He has 2,000 points. My competitive Drukhari list is 120 power level, right? His competitive Necron list is like 95 power level. There's like a 25 power level difference between his competitive 2,000 point list and my competitive 2,000 point list. But if we're playing at 100 power level, we would be equal. Does that make sense? Anyway, that's so I find that when we play that, it's better. I haven't played either army a lot, says Joe. But this Harlequins list, utilizing power level, seems to keep it simpler across just a few unit types. Correct. I'm using requisition points for the Relic on the Solitaire and the Troop Master's second pivotal role. That makes sense. At 25, it would be just 2 fusion boats, the Troop Master and the Death Jester, which is a fantastic little Crusader, like starter force, to be honest. I feel I failed to embrace the narrative structure Crusade, so I'm thinking of starting with an alternate 25 power level, a Shadow Seer, Dirvrim, 50, I'll add a Solitaire, another Troop, etc., etc. Okay. The question is, does anybody use star bolas? Well, who knows? We'll see what the new, like, apparently Harlequins are in the Craftable book. They're supposed to be mixed together. So I'm really curious to see how, like, the weapons options change, or any stratagems they have access to, or things like that. But stay tuned for that. Harlequins, I feel, are very iconic, like, army, right? Okay, so let's dive into what you've put in here. So you're using Soaring Spite. You're a Shadow Seer, Troop Master. 1, 2, 3 troops with fusion pistols, so 5 strong with fusion pistols and caresses, which is, in my opinion, the best weapon. A Death Jester, a Solitaire, 4 Skyweavers with Zephyr Glaives and a Hayward Cannon, and 2 Starweavers. And it's 51 power level. Well, the list is okay. If anything, I would, potentially drop 1 Skyweaver and just run a squad of 3. To be honest, personally, well, I don't know if that matters. Yeah, because then it would go down to 5 power level. You'd save like 5 power level, and you could put in another Starweaver. So do 3 Skyweavers and then 3 Starweavers, right? Because they're 4 power level each. Like you'd have 1 for each fusion boat. Dedicated transports is super important in a Harlequin list. Now, the key here is to make sure you just focus on like 1 or 2 units you want to gain experience with, and just kind of make sure you take something like Reaper or something simple early on, and then as you grow it, add in something else, maybe a Webway Gate or something, just to kind of add a little bit of oomph to the list. And then try and play not just the main Crusade book, missions. Try and play like missions from the different packets. Like my favorite is the Beyond the Veil set. This thing is fantastic for Crusade missions. It's probably the best. It's the first supplement mission pack that they put out, and it is by far the best one. Like, they've put out a lot of ones. You've got like this one, this one, this one, and then I think there's another one that was released as well. But honestly, the Beyond the Veil one is the best as well. Alexander says, Crusade list, start with a patrol, randomize dice, everything for fun. No. Randomizing stuff on an army list is only like a flex that you want to do every once in a while, in my opinion. But it is fun when you do. I think I've done a battle report or 2 where I physically roll for everything. And I'm like, and I think I did it was a random thing where we rolled all the weapon options. We rolled for the units. We rolled random warlord traits, psychic powers. We even rolled for random secondaries where we were like, or agendas where we're like, we're just going to roll randomly to see what our army wants to do. And then we try to achieve the random. It was one of the weirdest and craziest like things that ways to play. I feel I played with Primaris Powerhouse Rob against this guard. Anyway, Joe, hopefully that helps out. But yeah, post some stuff in the Discord like as you play, and it'd be really cool to see sort of like how your force develops. I always find that with that, it's always better to start with 25 and then leave 25 in the bank, because when you start a Crusade list, you don't need to play with 50 power level right off the bat. You have a 50 power level cap, and you could make your list only 25, play a couple of games with just that list, and then see what you want to add after, right? So you don't like that. If you don't use the extra power level, it doesn't just disappear. You still have a 50 power level cap, right, when you start off. Okay, we started off with some Crusade stuff. Now let's dive into some other lists. So Charles asks, well, after playing with different ideas, along with words of wisdom for some friends and the great Archon Skari, you are too kind, I tell you. I believe this is the version of my list I'm taking to LVO. Ooh, cool. So we have an LVO style list. LVO being in a couple of weeks. There's a lot of people who've been like reaching out to me, looking for advice, getting like army lists built, for the new codexes through the Art of War stuff and whatever. So I love helping people with their lists here. It's a Real Space Raid Battalion detachment with Cabal of Blackheart, Artists of the Flesh Coven, and Stimulant Innovators Test of Skill Witch Cult, which is one of my favorite. Although I have been using, instead of Stimulant Innovators, for anybody who doesn't know, it's a witch cult skill. Once per game, they can like roll an extra drug, and all the witches get an extra drug, which can be really useful, especially if you're running Hellions and want to try and get lots and lots of attacks. However, I've been really enjoying Precision Strikes, which is 5s to hit, or 5s to wound, sorry, trigger the Blade Artists, and then they get the +1 AP on 5s instead of 6s. And I've found that to be more useful over time, personally. You have an Archon, Ancient Evil, the Animus, with a Power Sword. Yeah, give him the Blast Pistol, please. Homunculus, which is a Master with the Poisoner's Ampule and Master Regenist. Yep. Master Homunculus with the Poisoner's Ampule is amazing. I played against the Silent King the other day, and literally ran up to the Silent King and threw the Poisoner's Ampule at the Silent King and was like, no auras for you. And all the Lich Guard around him were like, uh-oh. And then the Talus were like, nom, 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 nom. So that Poisoner's Ampule is fan-freaking-tastic. Armies on Parade has a question in chat. How much do you think playing an army that matches your preferred playstyle matters? So to answer that question, very much so. I find that through coaching and teaching people how to play, or like how to hone their craft, playing a list that you are comfortable with and that vibes with you tends to like seed better results than just like building and playing sort of like a meta list that, even though it might be strong, doesn't suit your playstyle. So it's very, as a baseline, I always recommend, hey, look at a tournament, pick like the top army from the faction you like, and you can build a list that mirrors that list. But the key is to look at the elements that you like and keep them, and then switch the stuff that you don't like for stuff you're going to use. So turn a meta list into your own, and that's like the best way to find the results that you want. Do you think you would be as successful with Death Guard or Custodes as you are with Trixie Eldar? Yes. Personally, I've been playing for 23 years, and I feel like I've shown I can play a whole variety of different factions, and I just use the rules of the game really well. So no matter what I'm playing, I tend to understand how it goes. I might not be the best with Croft Rule because I don't have like the experience. I wouldn't be the best with Death Guard because I don't have like the experience. But like, give me 10 games with that faction, and I'll get the hang of it. It's like me playing Age of Sigmar. I've learned how to play Hedonites as Slanesh, and the first couple of games I didn't really understand what I was doing. But then as you're going to start watching the different games I've done with Hedonites as Slanesh, which will be on the Mini Wargaming page, either the Vault or the Patreon, right, depending on where they get posted or where you watch them. Like, you'll notice that I get better and better with the faction, right? Because I just understand how to play that faction. Philip Litchfield says, loving Cursed Blade at the moment. Yeah, that's a great witch cult. The +1 to strength is not bad. Dral says, even in my Archon, I'm assuming that's what you meant to say. I'm just a humble Kabalite warrior who wonders if you would try and run pure Homunculus army for competitive play. Absolutely, I would love to run pure Homunculus stuff. I just don't have enough Talos to do it. And of course, a nice chatbot that we shall remove. Okay. Well, let's continue. Then we have a Succubus with the Grave Lotus combat drug, which is +1 strength, the Triptych Whip, Quicksilver Fighter, and the Agonizer Archive Glaive Show Stealer. 100%. Coolest Succubus ever. That test of skill, Triptych Whip, +1 strength Succubus, running in and murdering something with her Triptych Whip is phenomenal. I walked into a vehicle with her the other day and did 18 damage. 18 damage with my Triptych Whip Succubus, because she rolled really well on her 4-ups to wound. Because normally she's strength 3, and the Triptych Whip is you strength user against vehicles. So you'd be wounding most vehicles on 6s. But then you give her the +1 strength drug, so she's strength 4. So then she's wounding vehicles on 5s, like most vehicles up to strength 8, like up to toughness 7. But then she gets +1 to wound because of test of skill, vehicles and monsters, which into vehicles means that now the triptych whip is wounding on 4s. So she's doing 11 attacks, hitting on 2s, wounding on 4s, 2 damage each, AP3, maybe AP4, right? On 4s to wound. It's fantastic. It's so good. She is amazing. Then we've got troops, 5 Cabalites, 10 Hemoxites, 5 Racks, 5 Racks, 5 Racks, and 5 Witches with Grave Lotus. I don't think you need the Strength one. Just give them the movement. If you're running like a unit of Witches, just the movement to get on, get objectives, be annoying. Like, they're not really going to kill anything, personally. Robert Leclerc says, I think you definitely have enough Talos. I only technically own 7 Talos bodies, which can be Kronos / Talos. So I could run 2 units of 3 Talos, which is what I used to run all the time. I'm pretty sure I'd have to check like what my collection is right now. But yes, that's I feel like when you play against them long enough, you might think there's enough of them. Technically. Well, what if I wanted 9 Talos? Okay, I can't do that because I don't own enough Talos. Robert. Trying to learn Kronos at the moment, says Philip. Kronos are fun. They're good as a support unit. Although, when it comes to rumor has it that, you won't be able to mix and match like selectable keywords and detachments, which means, I think, or in armies, which means we're not going to be able to have like Dark Tech and Artists of the Flesh in like an army, which is going to change the way that we build lists, I think. Okay, then we have 5 Grotesques, which is incredibly good. Don't change that. 5 Incubi with Demiclaves. Make sure that on Battlescribe you go in and change the Clavex's weapon option to Demiclaves when you put a unit of Incubi in your list. Like you put Demiclaves here. Because if you just add Incubi to Battlescribe, it doesn't change the Demiclaves. It gives them the Clave. And so when you submit your list, even though you have the Demiclaves and it's free, it won't say it on the army list, and somebody could put up a stink about it. So just make sure you switch that out. 5 Mandrakes, 5 Mandrakes. Cool. I've dropped down to 1 unit of 5 now that the new secondaries and stuff are going to be coming out. I feel Mandrake's going to be less useful. 5 Hellions, 5 Hellions with +1 strength drug. Cool. I don't think you need +1 strength on them because they're already strength 4. So +1 attack tends to be better on them. And then we have heavy support, 2 Kronos with vortexes and a probe. Excellent. 2 Talos with scalpels and injectors and heat lances. Makes sense. 1 Raider and 2 Venoms. Oh, I'm glad you were able to split the other Raider into 2 Venoms. This is a very similar list to what I'm running. Very, very similar. I'm running the 10 Hellions. I have 5 Reaver jet bikes in there. I have 2 units of 4 Grotesques instead of 5. But my competitive list is very similar to this. The only suggestion I'd say looking at is potentially taking Precision Strikes instead of Stimulant Innovators, and then switching the drugs on the Hellions and that 5 unit of Witches. But other than that, it's fine. It's going to work good. But thank you for posting your list, Charles. I really appreciate it. Okay, back to the chat here. Philip says, good buffs. And Alexander says, 9 Talos, 9 Kronos. Well, the 9x9 is a list concept that, we talk about and make fun of, but it is something we've tried and used. I think you can put in like 9 Talos, 9 Kronos, and like 45 racks and like a couple of homunculus in a list. And that would be like a legal list. Ugh. Anyway, as much as I think it'd be really fun, I feel like my opponent would want to like pull their hair out and like, just not be my friend anymore. So now we're going to go over to the Discord and take a look at some of the Discord lists as well. Okay, so we have Paul Radcliffe who put in a list. We have Evan who put in a list. Why is this not working? There we go. Yeah, Alex who put in a list. Excellent. George who put in a list. I like it. Okay, let's take a look at this. Yes, speaking to my heart, says Alexander. Talos and Kronos are really cool. However, because of the fact that Games Workshop in the balance data slate decided to take the Talos and Kronos and make them cheaper, and then and then everyone started taking the Talos and Grotesques, I feel like they won't only just put them back to their normal point value. I think they're going to like send them past their normal point value in the next data sheet update, which will then like make them not worth it, or more balanced. Then again, 67 or 70% win rate or whatever Drukhari is right now is pretty dumb. So whatever they have to do to make it like less meta, I think would be a good idea. You can read all about it and what I think about that stuff. Okay, I'm gonna go for your second list, Evan, because you posted 2 lists, but I'm gonna talk about the second list you posted because that's the most recent one. Okay, Paul Radcliffe says, I've seen a list a few times that people are calling the Thick Garden. It features Mortarion, Be'lakor, and a Great and Clean one. Yeah, I've seen that one a couple of times. Most people are bringing Epidemus, but I like the idea of Beasts of Nurgle, Blob, buffed by Horticulus Slimux. I've played against that. It is also really annoying. How competitive? Not sure. Looks fun, though. Maybe not for my opponent. I have all of these models except for Be'lakor, as it was Model of the Year. And it was Model of the Year. Well, Be'lakor, I guess, it's just like, was it sold out or something? Like, what happened with that? Alex says, 3 Talos is plenty. Thank you very much. I believe you played against my 3 Talos not too long ago, and they definitely are plenty. But then again, I did have 8 Grotesques, which supplements the Talos quite nicely in my competitive list. Okay, so here we have it. Supreme Command Detachment with Mortarion. Then a Battalion Detachment of Nurgle with Be'lakor, a Great Unclean one, Horticulus Slimux, 3 units of 3 Nurglings, 2 units of 5 Beasts of Nurgle, 5 Furies, 5 Furies, 5 Furies. Yeah. So at its core, this list right now scores secondaries very well because it's got the Furies. It's got the Beasts of Nurgle to just bully the middle of the table. Has the Nurglings to hold backfield objectives, and then you can push Be'lakor, the Great and Clean one, and Slimux up the board. Of course, if you have enough CP, or points in the bank, you can use Slimux's like seeding. So then I would make sure that there's enough points in there to put a tree down in the middle of the board. So then you can fall back and charge and do like a whole variety of random shenanigans, which I think is really important with this list. However, we'll see how it works with the new edition. Not the new edition, but the new season, because the secondaries have been posted, and things like Furies, are a lot less likely to retrieve Nachmund data than they were to retrieve Octeris data. And I'll tell you right now, I played a game 2 days ago against Alfarius Matt, and he's running his 12 Warglaves and a Big Knight Chaos list, and he had some summoning points to summon in some Furies. And we were talking about the new secondaries, so we tried out, one of the missions GW previewed, put in the new secondaries, and he decided to retrieve Nachmund data. And I was like, I'm not going to do that because you have to roll and you might fail it. How many times did he fail it? Twice. Out of the times he literally had 5 Furies in the table quarter. Okay, I'm going to roll. Boom, 6. No points. Oh, I felt so bad. And then it happened again in the same quarter. And I was like, that just feels bad. Like, I was like, oh, I was feeling bad for him because of the fact that he just couldn't score that secondary because he rolled a 6. I was like, so either you want to make the Fury 6 strong, or you want to make sure that you like build different secondaries into it. As for the Beast and Nurgle, they're very, very good. I like the Great Unclean one with the bell because you can bring guys back. It's fantastic. And Be'lakor is a good bully. He's almost 400 points of getting up there and close and personal. You just have to, if he gets swarmed, he can get killed. So you want to be careful with him, but he is quite a beatstick. So it's a high pressure list. Gets up in your face, does some damage. I like Slimux with the beasts, and beasts are very, annoying to get rid of, like extremely annoying to get rid of. Armies on. So I like your list. I definitely feel it could win games. You know, you've got I feel it can win games. You have to be aggressive with it. It's not a sit back and get points list. It's a stop your opponent from scoring points list. So you have to get aggressive with it. So as long as you play it aggressively, you should see the success that you were hoping for. Plus, less models, less thinking. You know, it's a lot more straightforward. So the mental process, you know, is a little easier to sort of like break down when you're trying to play competitively. So let's get back to some of these questions. Armies on Crusade says, thank you for taking the time to answer all of our queries and comments. You are a really positive influence on the community. Well, I appreciate your comment. Thank you so much. This is what I do for a living. So if I'm not like spending time answering your questions, then what the frick am I doing? How does the new rod work, says Philip? Yeah, it's based on unit size. So you have to do a retrieve Octeris data can be done by any infantry, or retrieve Nachmund data, sorry, can be done by any infantry or biker unit, even a model of one. But and the same thing is the same. So they have to be 6 inches away from any other table edge. I mean quarter. So they have to be 6 inches in. After they've completed the action at the end of the turn, roll a dice. You have to roll equal to or under the number of models in the unit. If they're a troop choice, or an objective secure choice, I think it's troop choice, you suffer -1 on the roll. So a 5-strong troop can do it reliably, but any other unit has to be at least 6 to automatically do it, right? So if it's less than 6, it does mean that you could have like a single biker character or something, like a single biker do it, and then roll a 1 and get your points, which can be good, but like when you're playing competitively, you need to try and get your points reliably and not hope for points. John Chavez. Hola, John. So am I alone in thinking that the leaked Astra Militarum specific White Dwarf secondary is total trash? Well, it is what? For every kill you get with an Astra Militarum unit, you get a point to a max of 3 per battle round. It's kill points. It's not total trash against certain armies. Like if I was playing an MSU Eldar army and I had all my like out of line of sight shooting manticores and that sort of thing, or basilisks, I'd be like, hell yeah, because I'm gonna just kill everything I kill just gets me a point. And I've been playing a couple of games with Astra Militarum, and their shooting is no joke. Like the new Cadian stuff is pretty damn killy. So you just die very fast. So you have to kill a lot before you get completely murdered. But it's nice that they seem to have been putting these faction-specific secondaries in the new season, which gives me hope for factions that don't have a codex yet, right? And if this only lasts 6 months, and they do another season, and then who knows, they'll change stuff up, and maybe different books will have different things, and we'll see what happens within then, right? Brick says, I like the name Thick Garden. Well, it's better than Thick City, I guess. Right? Or is it the same, along the same wheelhouse? Okay. Thank you very much for your list, though, Paul. And let's go into Renlor's list. Tilly time. This is a Space Wolf successor list, which is Born Heroes and Whirlwind of Rage. Pretty standard build for like a successor chapter, in my opinion. So we have a battalion detachment, I'm assuming, captain, librarian, chaplain, blood claws, incursors, 2 Invictor tactical war suits, 2 units of 10 Wolf Guard with Thunderhammer, Storm Shield, Lightning Claw, Storm Shield, and all with jump packs, I'm assuming. A unit of Long Fangs with 5 plasma cannons. Nice. And a cherub. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 drop pods. 4 drop pods? Oh, did you put the Wolf Guard in the drop pods? Okay, that would make sense. I don't know about, like, the drop pods seem really fun, but, that's, you're spending 280 points on drop pods. Like, I feel like that would be better used putting like a Redemptor Dreadnought in there. Or another unit of Longfangs. Right? Just to, like, unless you're doing a theme thing, which is fine. Let's take a look at your notes. You say Wolfkin trait. Yeah. Always having shock assault. Cool. Fight loss stuff. -1 attack stuff. And have the assault doctrine instead of the other doctrines. Okay, makes sense. It's like the biggest thing here are the Wolfguard that do most of the damage, and you really need your Invictor Warsuits to put pressure on your opponent. Now, you put them with autocannons. I personally like the Flamer if you're going to get nice and close, but, you know, then again, the autocannon works just as good because then you have flexibility with what they do. Bloodclaws are okay. You know, and if they're going in the drop pod, that's fine because you're going drop pod, I'm assuming, with Bloodclaws and the characters. Then you've got Wolfguard in one drop pod, Wolfguard in the other, and then the Longfangs in the other. You know what? This seems like a really fun, like, aggressive list. I'd like to see it in play. Like, I feel like if I were to play it, it'd be a lot more useful to see like what it would do. And then based on how it would do, that's how I would sort of like gauge like and tweak it. But it seems like a fun concept. So I'm not gonna put the concept down. I just feel like that's a lot of points in drop pods. And jump pack. So maybe do like one jump pack veteran unit, take one drop pod out, tweak it a little bit, you know, and then maybe put a third Invictor Tactical Warsuit in or something. Like, I feel like you could still tweak it a little bit. Something like that as well. Andrew Middlemass says, have you been seeing many Adepta Sororitas list in your local play/tournaments? And have you seen the Order of the Valorous Heart at all? I don't see that order played at all. The sisters rarely played online. I haven't. Being a part of Team Canada, we do have like dedicated Sisters of Battle players, so we see what they're like. We see them all the time. It's not really Valorous Heart that gets played a lot. It's Martyred Lady that gets played a lot because the crazy Mortal Wound Palatine of Doom, which she's nuts. So that's what we usually see competitively. Stephen Core says, good afternoon, Dark Kin. Good afternoon to all of the Dark Kin out there. 100%. Put a thumbs up for any Dark Kin out there and any and all other things that you exact. If you haven't clicked that thumbs up yet, what are you doing? Okay. But thank you, Renlor, for your list. So let's go on to Evan's list. Okay. Evan has a battalion of Lambden Lions. So we're looking at some Astra Militarum Scion variety. We have a Tempestor Prime with a Command Rod, Key to the Armory, and the Refractive Field. Yeah, pretty standard build. Tempestor with a Command Rod, the Lorzel Command. I love the Lorzel Command. It's one of my favorite things. 6 Scion squads with 2 plasma guns and a plasma pistol. I'm assuming they're all 5 strong Scion squads. 2 Scion command squads with 4 melters in each. Pretty standard. 5 Taurox primes with Gatlings and double hotshot volley guns. Now, these are fantastic around that Tempestor with the reroll, the ones to hit, and the refractor field. It's fantastic. Little bubble of killing doom. Plus, Tauroxes are really fast. They move 100%. Then we have the a 2nd battalion of Lambden Lions with a Lord Commissar with a bolt pistol and a power sword, a Tempestor with a hotshot last pistol, and a Scion Squad, 2 plasma guns, a plasma pistol, 6 Bullgrins with mauls, 5 more Scion Squads with 2 plasma guns. Oh my goodness, that's 11 Scion Squads. 6 Bullgrin with mauls and slab shields, 2x3 Crusader squads, and a Munistorm traced with a chainsword. 8 command points to start and 4 points left over, so 1996. This is what MSU is all about, and I love it. This is literally like Astra Militarum Drukhari. and it's cool. I feel like you could actually, if you wanted to, make the Lord Commissar your warlord and give him the voice of command so that he gets the ability to issue orders to anything. And then you could actually use the stratagem to give one of your Tempestors a warlord trait, which then you would give the keys to the armory and then the refractive field. So you could still do both, but then also give your Lord Commissar the ability to issue orders, and he can then issue normal orders, not necessarily just Tempestor orders, to everything, which I think is really, really cool. It's a cool little combo you can do there, which I really like. Because then a Commissar with voice of command can issue to everybody, even Bulgrin. He doesn't have the regimental keyword, so you can just give it to everybody. So that's a cool little trick that you can do with Astra Militarum, Evan, which I think would be really neat and fit into your list quite nicely. But I like the list. I'll give it an 8.5, 9 out of 10. It's a killy list. A very killy list. Can do secondaries well. Even the new secondaries can hold objectives relatively well, but can at least stop your opponent from scoring points quite easily because of the amount of OPSEC models and units you have. Philip has a question. What's your take on Reapers, good or bad? Reapers are a Forge World Drukhari unit. My take on them is, that's the answer. John Chavez says, are command rods still needed for those scions? Yeah, sure. Give him a couple of orders. He has so many units, at the same time, you've got your cool little, what is it? The new balance slate kind of helps him out too. But yeah, might as well. It keeps them nice and simple. Gives you options, and it's cheap. So why wouldn't you? Okay, Alex. Let's take a look at the next army list. By Alex. This is a Necron army list. This is like the development of your list, which is really cool. So this is my current Warhammer 40,000 9th edition Necron list. So we have a Supreme Command detachment with the Silent King. Nice. Then we have a battalion detachment of Relentlessly Expansionist and Eternal Conquerors, which makes sense because that's probably the most competitive Necron choice. We have 2 Crypto Thralls, and Rakir the Traveler, who, by the way, is a monster. He +1 attack aura is incredibly good. A Technomancer with the Hypermaterial Ablator and the Cloak and the Veil of Darkness. 3 units of 10 Necron Warriors with Reapers. Pretty standard troop choice. 5 Flayed Ones. A Hexmark Destroyer. Ugh, I hate the Hexmark. As a Drukhari player, the Hexmark will murder all my little units of infantry, and I hate it. I hate it so much. 5 Lich Guard. 5 Scorpec Destroyers. Yeah. 3 Scarabs, and 5 Locust Destroyers with Gauss Cannons, and a Ghost Arc. Single Ghost Arc. That's an interesting take on the list. Like, I played against your other list, Alex. Now, this one kind of loses a unit of the Lich Guard, so you're running 1 unit 5 Lich Guard, and then you add the Hexmark. I feel the Hexmark has a lot of really cool technical tricks you can do with the ability to deep strike in response of opponent's deep strike, especially in a meta that has Genestealer Cult. Like, that Destroyer is going to be absolutely clutch in like times where your opponent's Genestealer Cult comes in within 3 inches or with it close, it's going to flame you with a bunch of flamers or charge you or whatever with like a big unit acolytes, and you can counter deep strike with the Hexmark and just pop them all before they get to do anything. He's going to be a really good toolkit unit in the list. Having the Lich Guard and the Scorpex, it's small little units. The Wraiths are fantastic. I mean, the Scarabs are great for backfield objective holding. And then, of course, your Locust Destroyers are key. The key to having the Scorpex, Lich Guard, and the Locust is you have to try and keep them alive for as long as possible. The longer you keep them alive, the better. And I think that's going to be very important. If you can keep them alive, that's key. Alex says, Gene Steel Cult is exactly why I added him. Good. I'm glad you're in the same thought process. You've been developing this list, Alex, for a couple of months now, and just love how you're just tweaking and tweaking and tweaking, and you're kind of trimming all the fat and making it work. I feel it works well with secondary choices. It has good options for the meta lists out there that we're seeing right now, and it's just a matter of playing 10 to 20 games with this list. I don't think I need to go much into detail with it because I feel you're like it's a good list. So hex marks are a pain in the butt, says Philip. 100%. Now Stephen Kors asks, when playtesting a competitive list, how many rounds should you play with it before making changes? That's a great question. So when it comes to building a competitive list, usually I'll build a list within a concept. So when you build a list, you want to think to yourself, what do I want this list to achieve and how is it going to win the game? You have to like visualize what the list is going to look like. Sometimes I put it on the table. I put a list on the table and I visualize it and like, okay, it's got all the elements I need. I'll go through the different deployments and I'll put my army out and I'll see how many drops I have, what options I have, that sort of thing. So if it feels right, it's a weird way to explain it, but if it feels like it has the tools, then I'll play some games with it. Usually after the first game, you'll know whether the concept works or not. And if it has any sort of legs to it, I would want to play a list around 20 times. The same list. Ideally, the same list 20 times before I make a sort of like a value proposition on it. It's called the 20 Games on the Journey to Perfection, which is a series I sometimes do with competitive army lists. Now, during that time, the concept must remain the same. And your job is to play that list against as many different factions as possible in as many of the different missions as possible, right? So there's 9 missions competitively. You need to play each mission at least twice and try and get as many different factions as possible within that 20 games to make it the most useful. Now, usually you want to just tweak your list every 4 to 6 games. So during that 20 game series, you might do 4 or 5 tweaks, just little tweaks. Change a unit size, change a war gear piece, put a character in or out. But ideally, you're not changing the core of the list unless it's just not working, right? And that's where the magic happens when you like make a list, play it over 20 games, break it down with like your coach or somebody who understands the game better than you, like bounce ideas back and forth and be like constructively look at the way you played rather than the list itself, right? Because the list itself should work. It's just a matter of how you're playing that list. Sometimes you have to be very aggressive. You have to like grab your list and get into the middle of the board and play with it. Sometimes that list is more like hide for 1 turn and then pounce on turn 2, or hide for 1 or 2 turns and then pounce on turn 3. So you'd have to understand how the list works, right? Christopher Crux says, I like the hyper material ablator, says Alex. Yeah, cover on those units, 100%. Putting like the cover or the benefits of light cover on that destroy unit or the locusts is going to be incredible to keep them alive. And I think that's very important as you move into it. Philip says, how do you counter a hex mark? Don't bring in your deep strikers until it comes in. Or just know that it's going to kill a unit when it comes down. And then try and counter it once it comes down. Definitely don't send mandrakes against it and don't charge it because it hits on 2s in Overwatch and will murder the little unit you sent to charge it. Andrew Middlemass says, is there a place to see your team's OOOML list? What? Oh, Order of Our Martyr Lady list. I personally play Valor's Heart, thus my inquiry before, but I was interested in competitive lists from other orders. Yeah, so if you go to Battlescribe, you can check out some of the lists that Chris and Cody, who are like Sisters of Battle players, have been using. If you go to the Stutter Snotling Major that happened in October or November, check out Chris Haynes' list. That was really good. Or there was a Beer and Pretzels team event, and Chris was on the Canhammer team. and you can pull up his list from Best Coast pairings, and that'll be a good framework for you to start with. Doral says 20. I need to play more games. I do max 20 a year, but that's the thing. Like, some people can play 20 games. If I'm playing 2 or 3 games, I play 4 games a week or 5 games a week sometimes. So it's a lot easier for me to develop a list concept in a short period of time, right? Some people don't have the luxury of that. You get 1 game a month, or you get 2 games a month, or maybe 1 game a week. And so you want to sort of make the most out of your time instead of just like spending all your time developing a competitive list. But that's the thing. It does take time to develop a competitive list. And because the meta changes so quickly, it is hard to sort of like develop a list concept that spans multiple codexes or multiple changes in an edition. And it's one of the reasons why keeping your list the same is so fucking important. Pardon my language. It's so important to keep your list the same because of the fact that everything changes around you. You can keep your list the same and then adapt your playstyle to the way the game changes and then tweak it. So if you want to do LVO, not this year, but next year, start developing a list now if you only get 20 games in a year and play the same list. It's going to cut down on the amount of money you have to spend. It's going to increase your results over time and give you a better understanding of the game. Okay. George says, thank you for your list, Alex. I appreciate it. So George says, this is a 1,250 point list for a 2v2 tournament. Nice. A team tournament? Amazing. You can have 2 detachments each. You start with 4 command points. My teammate is ringing a Death Guard, lots of Porkstalkers and Terminators, so I want to focus on speed, obsec, and shooting. I have 30 points left over. I'm not sure what to use with it. Maybe I should make the characters cheaper, shuffle a few more points around for more Scourge or Mandrakes, maybe a blob of Hellions. Cool. Well, let's take a look, George. Alex says, thanks for your insight and help, Skari. I appreciate it. No problem. Anytime. So a Cabal of the Obsidian Rose, flawless workmanship. A Master Archon with a Blast Pistol, Gem Blade, Hatred Eternal. Okay, so Killy Archon. A Succubus with Precision Blows, Tolerated Ambition, Triptych Whip, Agonizer, Precision Blows. Okay, so the Mortal Woundy Lady. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units of 5 Cabalites with Blasters. Okay. A Scourge with Scourge unit of 4 Shredders. Okay. 2 Ravagers with Dark Lances. Okay. 1 Raider and 4 Venoms. Well, I'll tell you, for 1,250 points, that is a hell of a lot of stuff. Like, a lot of stuff. And I love it. It's going to mirror the Death Guard really well. The Death Guard are chonky, can get in the way, and you can just throw everything away and just mess up all your opponent's plans. So I like your little combination here. In terms of points, you have 30 points left over. First of all, I don't know if you can make that Succubus a Master, but if you can, make that Succubus a Master. 15 points. There you have it, 15 points. Then you have 15 points left. I don't know. Give your Raider a Grizzly Trophy, or a Phantasm Grenade Launcher, or a Shock Prow to do some mortal wounds on that. And then maybe give a couple of your Venoms Chain Snares, so they have more attacks in close combat. It's just keep it simple. And that's it. Or if they still allow the single Urgle, would they still? Oh no, they don't allow that anymore, I don't think. But yeah, it's good. I don't think you can go wrong with it. Just swarm the opponent with a bunch of stuff, and you can't go wrong. I'm going to give this a very nasty award. This is definitely a nasty 1,250 point award for your list. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Dral says, I do it with 3 different factions too. I have to concentrate on my Drukhari, I think. Yeah, if you want to get good with a specific faction, you pick a faction, you focus on that faction, and you sort of have to become mildly obsessed with that faction. If you become more of a faction expert, the noise of the changing meta, the constant book updates, the FAQs, like all the extra noise. It's crazy how much you can hyper focus when you cut out all the noise. It's one of the reasons why I got myself some noise canceling AirPods. It's for my birthday, you see. I just started using them, and not being able to hear anything except what I'm listening to is fantastic. But yeah, it gets you like all the noise out of the outside world. You can really hyper focus. It's fantastic. The same with your list. Hyper focus on one thing. Other than that, George, I would be scared to play against this at 1,200 points just by itself. Like it is a nasty list. It's crazy how much stuff you can fit in with a Drukhari list. Leave a comment down below about how amazing it is that you can literally eat your cake and give cake to everyone and then have cake left over for tomorrow when you're playing Drukhari, because it's ridiculous how much stuff you can fit in a list. Okay, we got a couple of lists that have popped up as we've been chatting on the Discord. Excellent. I like it. So let's go into Apotheosis's list. By the way, Apotheosis is the Patreon who donated the Croftold Eldar and the Thousand Suns army to the channel. So give him a thumbs up for that, because that Croftold Eldar is freaking beautiful. And I haven't been able to play the Thousand Suns yet, but I've been thinking up some really cool Thousand Suns lists to test out too. So, okay. He says, "Hey, Skari, hope it isn't too late of a submission." No, it isn't, because I just got it right now. I updated my kill team strike force list for the Deathwatch. We've been talking about building a Deathwatch kill team list. Very cool, like it's actually a really tricksy list. Swap the missile squad for eradicators. I think it's better at vehicle hunting, and the heavy intercessors are great backfield holders. Yep, they are. Include an apothecary, question mark? Yes. If you can take an apothecary with the Master Apothecary Selfless Healer, do it. It is so good and gets you so many points over the course of a game. Back. There's a cool interaction with the Apothecary. You can put Crimson Fistwall, trait Refusal to Die on a Sergeant, can revive them on 4+ at the end of the phase, and then start reviving your unit. Yes, that's amazing. That's awesome. Do it. That's a really cool concept. I love that. The only thing I changed since we last looked was adding 2 jump packs to the Proteus kill team in the Black Star to give them some reach after disembarking. Okay, that makes sense. Give them an extra couple inches out there so they can kind of move up and do some work. Oh my gosh. Because you can string them back, right? String them back all the way from disembarking from this thing. Let's take a look at this list. It's on a paste bin, so let's have some fun with it. Also, if you're tuning in from somewhere, let us know where you tune in. And if you're just tuning in, this is the List Crunch. It's a Patreon video I do every Friday normally for Patrons. Scourge tier and higher can submit an army list. I read it. I give you notes, as you've been seeing that I do, and all that stuff. And it tends to go up on the Patreon page. However, it's my birthday yesterday. Sometimes I'll open the vaults out for everybody to kind of take a look and see, the cool little perks of, helping me out on Patreon and joining the Denizen community and stuff, and helping me continue to do what I do, which I am greatly thankful for. Christopher says, "What do you cut to add the 110-point apothecary?" I don't know. Let's take a look at the list first. Steven says, "Tuned in from St. Catharines, Ontario." Hey, salutations from Barrie, Ontario. The obvious choice is the Librarian, but I need the HQ slot. Possibly the Eliminators / Reaver? Yeah, it could be. The thing is, like, that Apothecary, A, gives you a 6-up Feel No Pain, which makes, like, especially if you have multi-wound models, makes the damage from enemy multi-damage weapons a lot less efficient at killing you, which I think is a good thing right off the bat. And secondly, it means your opponent just can't chip away at you. They have to really try and focus fire. And when you have transhuman physiology or things like that, like, it's hard to focus fire down Space Marines. And if then they split their attacks, you can kind of pick the most important thing you need to, like, bring back and bring them back. Like, I played a game recently where my Apothecary brought back 2 Outriders, healed an Outrider, healed the 2 characters that were almost dead to 3 wounds apiece, and then brought back like a heavy intercessor, so 2 heavy intercessor, healed, and a blade guard veteran, right? Like over the course of the game, that apothecary like tripled his cost, right, in bringing models back, and was just clutch. And that is just such a good unit. Okay, so let's take a look at the list. So it's a battalion detachment of Army of Renown, Kill Team Strike Force, which is in the critical mass, I believe. We have a librarian with some psychic powers. We've got the Primaris Chaplain on a bike, which I think is one of the best units in the game. We have a Fortis Kill Team Dominatus with an Intercessor Sergeant, 6 Intercessors with bolt rifles, and 3 Outriders. Cool. We have an Indomitor Kill Team, Malleus with 5 Eradicators, a Heavy Intercessor, and 4 more Heavy Intercessors. I love the Heavy Intercessors. They're one of my favorite units. And then a Proteus Kill Team, which are Aquila with jump packs, Black Shield, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a big squad of 10. Then another one, Aquila as well, with some Terminators with Thunderhammer Storm Shield, so a little bit more, and Storm Shield, so a tanky unit to get into the middle of the board. A Spectre's Kill Team with 4 Eliminators, 4 Infiltrators, a Infiltrator Sergeant, and a Reaver for some shenanigans with stratagems, and a Corvus Blackstar. Like, if anything, I really like. What do you think? What do you think of the Corvus Blackstar? Doesn't it have this thing where it can't be shot or something like that on the first turn? It's got like this special rule or whatever. I feel like because you dropped the rhinos, because you had the rhinos in there. That's definitely a change. I'm a big fan of the Thunderhammer, like Thunderhammer Terminator with Storm Shields. Like that, those units of Storm Shield guys just get in and have so many attacks with the chain swords, and they just bully the middle of the board. I think they're really, really useful. You absolutely love the Corvus Blackstar. 2 CP to be untargetable first battle round unless it's the closest unit. Okay, so I knew there was something. So the Corvus Blackstar is going to be there on your first turn and potentially second. Now, I like it. To be honest, it's great. It also keeps that unit, like, isn't it? Doesn't it carry like a small unit? Like, I'm assuming it'd be a small combat squad you put in there. It carries 12. Oh, okay. Put 2 jump packs for extra movement. Nice. Because each jump pack is 2, so you can put a unit of 8 inside then, right? With 2 jump packs? No. Or 9. 10. 10? Oh, 10. You could put 10 with 2 jump packs. Ooh, that's cool, actually. I like that. But yeah, I think the only way you could put in that apothecary is the librarian. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe the Spectre's Kill Team is the one to go. He has 260 points. Like, not only could you drop the Kill Team, but that would be 110 points for the apothecary, which would give you 148 points to spend. Like, and then you could fit it all into a patrol, even if you really wanted to. Oh no, you couldn't. You still have 4. But like 148 points, you could add in, find a couple extra points. You could add in a whole other Blackstar. You know what I mean? Or another kill team that's more just sit in the back and do nothing kill team, right? Like hold this backfield objective and never be seen ever. Instead of the Spectre's is like does that, but like moves and it's like sneaky that way. Or cut the Spectre's kill team in half and only do like the Eliminators with the to like move in and out or whatever. The 5 Infiltrators are really useful. Then keep the Infiltrators and get rid of the Eliminators, right? That's you're either going to drop the librarian and then try and squeeze it into a patrol, or you drop like you cut half of that Spectre's kill team because everything else works, but you can afford to lose half of that Spectre's kill team, in my opinion, and then kind of go from there. Can't take the Eliminators only. Yeah, so keep the Infiltrators then, and drop the Eliminators. Right? That's what I would do. Either that or just, don't play without an apothecary. Maybe the list just works better without an apothecary, right? You know, if anything, maybe play 5 games with the Apothecary, 5 games without, and then see which one you like the best, because you can go on TTS and practice it and all that stuff. But everything else, like the core of the list, you've got the 2 Proteus kill teams, the Indomitor, the Fortis. That's like the core with the Chaplain and Bike. I really like that core, right? And it seems like you've built that Corvus into the core of the list. You've got decent amount of CP to start. And then it's just a matter of tweaking that, like, okay, the Spectre's kill team is more of a shenanigan-y kill team. Infiltrators are really useful. Incursors are really useful. But Infiltrators are especially useful against Genestealer Cult, right? So keeping them in is probably a good idea to stop the crazy Deep Strike shenanigans. And kind of build it from there. But yeah. I hope that helps. Hope that gives you some food for thought, Chris. And you can kind of build from that. Okay, and then we have Curie's. Curie, hey, Jeremy, what's going on? Thanks for posting a list. Ooh, I like it. Okay, so we have a Custodes list. Nice. I like it. And let's also get rid of this little chat bot. Man, oh man, chatbots think I'm popular and they want to make me famous and put a whole bunch of stuffs and whatnot. Oh man. Okay, so we have a. What is your shield host? You put a list in, but you didn't put a shield host. Oh, Emperor's Chosen. Okay, that makes sense. It seems like Emperor's Chosen has quickly become one of the most popular, or the most popular Custodes build, based on the fact that you can like pick any shield host with a stratagem for any one of your units, which is really, really good. Hey, wave. Hey, Curie, what's going on? Thanks for the wave. Okay, let's quickly look at this. Empress Chosen. There you go. Perfect. Okay, so we have a shield captain in a Laris Terminator armor with the shunt. The Praetorian plate. Boom! Nailed it. An unstoppable destroyer. I love that shunt plate. It's so good. The shield captain on a Dawn Eagle jet bike with the Auric Exemplar, so the super jet bike. Superior Creation, excellent for the 5 of Feel No Pain. The Castellan's Mark, the Hurricane Bolter, Stratagem of the Emperor's Heroes with the Victor of the Blood Games, Tip of the Spear. So a bunch of upgrades on this one guy, which is really, really neat. And Trajan Valoris. The 3 things that I feel you'll always see in a battalion. I think the only other way to do it is double patrol, and if you do the double patrol, you can take the Sister of Silence with the no obsec aura, which I think is really useful as well. But Trajan is the warlord, gets 2 warlord traits. Shield Captain gets 2 warlord traits. You know what I mean? And the Shield Captain and Alaris, I would honestly give the Shield Captain, spend the CP, give him a warlord trait as well, and make him the deny a psychic power warlord trait. So then he counts as double models, and he's obsec. So he's 4 obsec models that can shunt anywhere to the table. So you can use your jet bike captain to like boost up the table, put him behind a building or something. If anybody countercharges him or tries to take him off the objective or whatever, then you can shunt the plate up onto like an objective, and then you've got 4 obsec models with that little Alaris captain guy on an objective being really annoying. That's a cool little combo I like. So then we have the Custodian Guard Squad, 2 of them with shields and blades. Cool. And 1 unit of prosecutors with bolt guns. Cheap troop. Makes sense. 5 Alaris Terminators with axes. Makes sense. And a Contemptor Achilles Dreadnought with the Eternal Penitent and the Adratic Destructors. So deep strikey, killy, shooty Achilles Dreadnought. I like that. And a Galatas Dreadnought. Oh, I love those Forge World Dreadnoughts. They're so good. Then we have 3 jet bikes with salvo launchers and a grav tank. Interesting. With an Arachnus Blaze Cannon. Interesting choice on the grav tank. You know, I think the Telemon still has probably more play than the grav tank, to be honest. Just because you get to punch things in close combat with it. And I get you got the Alaris, which are good. The Caladius can kind of give you some backfield support, you know what I mean? Like just stays in the back or whatever. You know, and I guess it could be good. to just have in the backfield. But that's what your prosecutors are for, to hide in the back and do nothing. Like, what do you feel the Caladius adds to that list, personally? While we think of that, let's go to the questions. Paul Greer says, I've been collecting since 1989. I was born in 1987. I really miss the crazy books for the orcs like freebooters. Where is my orc book? Hold on a second. Aha! That's right, I'm dating myself here, but I own this book, Codex Orc Supplement. Look, there's even a smiley face here that says Judy or something on there. And, oh man, some of these are really, really cool. Vehicle shock attack gun chart. You ready for a trip down memory lane? If you roll a 1, 2, 3 to 4, 5. So on a 3 to 4, frenziing snotlings attack the crew, clawing and biting everyone in sight. Each crew member must take basic saving throw or suffer 1 wound. On a 6, wretched little snotling, gibbering in abject terror, wraps himself around the driver's head and clings to him as tightly as he can. The vehicle immediately lurches forward, D10 inches, and overturns. The crew are either killed in the crash or ripped apart by the frenzied snotlings as they lie stunned. The vehicle is useless for the rest of the game. Fun. Good old shock attack guns. Oh, my goodness gracious. Okay. So, I'm overwhelmed by the rules and so many sources. Yeah, to be honest, if you want to get into the game right now, Paul, take it easy. Just kind of pick up a small force, play a couple of combat patrol games. Just get used to it. Don't worry about the FAQs. Don't worry about all the noise that you hear. Just kind of play some games with your friends. Play it right out of the book. And, and then eventually you'll kind of get that going as well. Paul Greer says, Vortex grenades for the win. Yeah, 100%. Well, there you go, Jeremy. I hope you like my little breakdown of your list. Says, I had considered that. Was debating between giving the Alaris Captain Impregnable Mind or saving the CP. Nah, just give him Impregnable Mind, honestly. I've been playing my Black Templars lately with... I've been playing my Black Templars lately by spending a whole bunch of command points pre-game. So my Black Templar games have been starting with 5 CP. And I never really understood that until I found that if I'm investing all those CP early in the game, like those characters that I put like warlord traits and relics on and stuff, they just pull their weight, and I don't need the CP as much as I thought I did. Gavin asks, hey Skari, what do you think of Terminator armor losing their fluffiness? Example being Cataphracti losing its advanced debuff, but keeping its better involved for Death Guard. I think keeping it simple just makes it simple for people to join in the hobby. So I'm not against it. At the same time, yeah, I do miss some of the gray noise that you'd get when playing a whole bunch of different armies or whatever. Jeremy says, I appreciate the feedback. Telemon is an interesting choice, but would require me reworking the list since even a pure punchy Telemon is 280. Yep, you need 75 points. I think the only place you could sort of get points is by dropping the bikes, to be honest. Right? You drop the bikes and just add the Telemon in. And then maybe use the points saved to switch the Grav tank to a Telemon, then take those points and put them in a Witch Seeker unit with a Rhino. That pre-game movement could get you points, could get you command points at the beginning of the game and some of the new missions, the one that they previewed, for example. Gives you something to threaten a lightly armored unit that your opponent's using as a screen early in the game. Just kind of gives you some extra board control, pressure, that sort of stuff. So there's something to keep in mind. Okay, everybody, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this edition of List Crunch. Don't forget, when you're trying to play competitively or build a list concept, you have to start that with a healthy diet of list crunchos, which is put them in a bowl, mix them in with some salt and some meta-analysis, and take a nice big bite of them. And if you don't die, then you're on your way to be better at the game. I wanted to give a huge shout out to all the channel Patreons, without whom this would not be possible. You can join the Denizen community today, get access to videos like this. Every Monday, I do a Meta Monday analysis as well. We have the Discord and all that good stuff. All the links, of course, are in the description. And I cannot wait to see you there. Thank you so much for watching, liking, sharing, subscribing, clicking that notification bell, amplifying by sharing it with all your friends and all that good stuff. I really appreciate all the feedback. So thank you very much to everybody in chat who hung out with me. After all, I've been Skari, your grateful host, signing off until next time. Skari out. Ah, the Dark Kin. Bye, everybody.